Chairman Manning, Ranking Member Hicks Hudson, and members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, thank you for this opportunity to provide opponent testimony on Senate Bill 297. My name is Gary Daniels, here representing the ACLU of Ohio. Of course, SB 297 is a bill to expand Ohio's laws as they relate to state investigations and enforcement of potential violations of anti-discrimination laws and as they apply to the offenses of riot and aggravated riot. This is to be done by adopting a definition of anti-Semitism to be used for these purposes. Furthermore, SB 297 requires a particular definition be used. That is the definition developed and endorsed by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. I have cut and pasted that definition into my testimony for everybody's benefit. In order to provide further clarification as to how anti-Semitism should be interpreted, the IHRA offers a non-exclusive list of what they call contemporary examples, which I also list below in my testimony, and we'll be getting to in 1 second. It is unfortunate the first two hearings on SB 297 did not result in a discussion about the exact language this bill seeks to adopt, as these IHRA contemporary examples present a litany of serious free speech concerns. A review of these examples essentially means Ohioans would be forbidden from or face consequences for voicing, commenting, or opining on matters fully protected by the First Amendment. To be clear, the ACLU of Ohio, of course, does not support or advocate for the discriminatory harassment, bullying, violence against, or targeting of Jewish people. We believe the General Assembly is correct to be concerned about anti-Semitism and increased examples of it and in and around Ohio, but we reject any attempt to limit and outlaw constitutionally protected free speech, even speech we, you, and others may find abhorrent. Adoption of the IHRA contemporary examples of anti-Semitism would mean numerous and perhaps endless examples of outlawing, among other speech, complaints about or opposition to any and all domestic and or foreign policy and actions of and by Israel, using, voicing, or supporting a Jewish stereotype, such as Jews having power in some industry, disputing the scope of and any aspect of the Jewish Holocaust of the 1940s, raising any question as to the national loyalty or priority of any Jewish person, expressing disagreement with the idea that the Jewish people have a right to self-determination, and making untruthful allegations about Jews where the government determines what is or is not truthful. One need not agree with any, some, or all of these examples of speech to recognize it is still constitutionally protected, and the various problems that inevitably arise when government tries to pick and choose what controversial speech is legally acceptable. During last week's hearing, some proponents tried to wave away these concerns by explaining the bill also contains this language. And I've cut and pasted it as well in my testimony. It talks about that this definition of anti-Semitism should not be construed to diminish or infringe on any right protected by the First Amendment. But this provision offers zero comfort or assurances the requirements of SB 297 and these contemporary examples would not be used to target and punish constitutionally protected speech, particularly because at least some proponents believe these examples are not protected in the first place by the First Amendment. It also does not save SB 297 from unconstitutionality. An ordinary person would not know what speech is or is not a violation of the law. It is therefore vague and overbroad and violates the U.S. and Ohio Constitution. At least one witness also tried to downplay free speech concerns by stating these restrictions pass constitutional muster because they address conduct, not speech. This is an interesting interpretation of the First Amendment, but it is misleading and has been repeatedly rejected by courts. Certainly, various types of harassment, bullying, violence, and other actions and conduct do not generally enjoy First Amendment protection for good reason. But some examples of conduct protected by the First Amendment include burning a flag, labor strikes, economic boycotts, and refusing to vote in elections. All conduct, all protected. Finally, there are also numerous concerns about how a person, department, or entity tasked with enforcing SB 297 will determine someone is acting or has acted with anti-Semitic intent. Is the expectation people accused of violations will have their social media accounts investigated? How about the books they read, the movies they watch, the organizations they support or are a member of, or the people they associate with, and more? SB 297 is silent on the scope of and any guidance regarding investigation and enforcement. Ohio government is already equipped to investigate and enforce its anti-discrimination laws without selecting one particular target of discrimination and applying a wholly different standard that involves limiting and outlawing constitutionally protected speech. For all these reasons and more, the ACLU of Ohio encourages this committee's rejection of SB 297.
Thank you for your testimony. You just got in under 5 minutes, so we appreciate that. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, thank you once again for your thoughtful testimony. We don't always agree, but we do appreciate your thoughtfulness.